Warning, this video is very long where I yap and kind of swear sometimes. So if you don't like that, then probably click off. Alright, so this is not going to be a very fancy-pantsy, very spectacle kind of thing. And the reason for that is I think it would be better if I just go unscripted instead of putting a bunch of, wasting time putting a bunch of flashy images when I shouldn't. So, yeah. This is just going to be a one still image thing while I ramble, and I don't think this might get a lot of traction unless I talk to one of the people that talk about most, like EDC. That guy, he covers the news a lot, or like Trackside Productions. So if you see this, that's cool. First of all, happy Pride Month. Happy Pride Month, be proud of who you are. Don't let some bastard be like, hey, you can't be gay. Don't be like that. Don't let some guy like that. Be who you are. Also, second off, Edward got revealed, the face. I think it looks good. I think it looks pretty good, One of the better ones. Yeah, he has like kind of a cheeky, like kind of smug eyebrow placement, but it's fine, God forbid a man has taught it. But the thing I want to talk about here is that there's this guy called Kyle, and I think in like one of the replies, they said this Kyle, this guy right here, was basically worked on with the 2021 season 21, I want to say script, but like I guess Health was on like an insider for like the Jitty and Pug and Percy episode. I think he was like one of the persons that like helped leak it. Again, I wouldn't know. I will have a link down so you can check and see if I was right or not. But apparently that he has a source that has a bunch of things that basically tie back to the what's going to be in the new show. And a lot of this, first of all, I think this makes sense. This is not a case of take a grain of salt. This is kind of like I want to say a large bowl, but like a definitely a sizable bowl of salt, because for all we know, this could be wrong. I feel like there's some things that are pretty obvious and, could be right, but there's a lot of things that are really out there will make you go, are you sure, buddy? That type of thing. So I would like to go through it. Again, I don't think I'm going to be the first person to go through it. I might be the first person, but I don't think anyone's going to see it. Hey, if that happens, so, hey, who knows? Maybe I could show it off to EDC or Trackside Production and be like, hey, can you see this? And be like, oh, no, who knows? But the first thing that's on there is, I'm going to read it verbatim. This isn't even interesting, as we already knew this, but my source was told all of this in January. They were told Edward was indeed in the new shore before we even knew he was getting a new toy. This is definitely like, I think the first couple ones are very, very plausible, could even be very true. The first one is definite. This being January makes sense because this was, when the news, like the clip came out, all the stuff was coming around, because it started in December last year, so of course it came out then. It also makes sense because this is around, like, I guess planning for like the toy fair, so of course it would make sense. Edward being confirmed also makes kind of sense if you think about it, because remember how everyone was in arms of, oh, they killed Edward, oh, he's in the background, and John's go, oh, why does it look like that? So I think this is a case of them course correcting for the lack of Edward and just the backgroundness. He became a background character of it, so I feel like this is a course correct. This will make sense. Second thing is, more characters will be appearing who we have yet to see. Kind of obvious, but still cool. Again, this makes sense. You want to set up more characters for toys and be like, oh, you see these guys? You're going to get toys in them. More fan service, more people like, oh, I remember that guy. That makes sense. And of course, more characters for the background to make it, look very full. How in the Brenner era, there was a lot of characters back then, so that makes sense. Number 3 would be, there will be no Steamies versus Diesel's conflict in the new show. Instead, they will be friendly with one another. Again, this is also plausible. For basically 30 years now, up until like, I think 2020, it was just a case of, oh, Stevie's good, Diesel's bad. It was just a back and forth with just so much. And I feel like that also helped kind of, how those bad faith articles be like, oh, Thomas is a fucking oppression, right? Henry died in the tunnel. Sir Topperhead is worse than Hitler, that type of thing. And I feel like those episodes, like the Colonel Engine, like the Steamy Diesel rivalry during like the Hit era, definitely unfortunately fueled the fire, because those episodes just kind of sucked at the premise, because like we all know it. The steam engines will be dicks for no reason. Diesel will be one. Then Diesel will be like, oh, I'm better than you. It was just so contrived for just 30 years. It was just this BS. Thankfully, I think around like when Wubba was starting to, it was just a Diesel thing, just Diesel the character, which I think was a good choice. Yeah, he came a instead of being like the cool, calculated demon he was in like season 2 and the Railway series, he was just kind of prankster. But I'll take it, because again, the Steam versus Diesel rivalry was just so contrived that honestly, it's better if we just stop. So yeah, this also makes sense. Number 4, since Diesels are not the villains, as many predicted, the Troublesome Trucks are indeed the main villains of the series. Again, this also makes sense. They're getting a lot of push. The fact that a Troublesome Truck is part of the first wave of the new toys makes sense, They're packaged along with other characters. They're packaged with multi-packs. It's very... The only ones that are not there are with the main Thomas one, the first one, the one, and the Cranky Dog set. Basically anything that isn't like like a feature thing for a set. This makes sense, Here's my copism. This is probably never gonna happen. I would kill for Hector. Hector is my favorite character besides 60. 60 and Hector, my top one favorite characters. I love him. At Hector, I would kill to see him again. Just to have merchandise, honestly. He could not even appear in the show. He could be like a Doug situation. I'll still get him. I wouldn't care. I love Hector. I want to make a whole video just how my love for him and how great he is. But besides that, this is also a good step. The fact that Scruffy's coming, a character that has not appeared since season 4 for like the 4, because he technically appeared in season 5, but of course no one acknowledges that because those are tentacles. So by previous examples, he has not appeared since the model era and was only alive through because the toys being made. So it's really shocking that he just gets a toy all of a sudden and is like being pushed in. So yeah, it makes sense. 5 is I think the last one. No, not the last one. 7's when it gets all muddled, but 5 is the series being very rarely series coded is intentional. I think I remember something about the show having rarely series lore, but do not back me up on that. So basically, the Railway series thing is very intentional, which makes sense because during the 80th and I think like still during now, they're still pushing on traditional family, like as Thomas values, basically the same. Oh yeah, we're being accurate to the Railway series, being accurate to the things you remember and Railway series, because again, that's when the 80s came out, and heck, even before it, when legacy characters like Duck or Donald was revealed, people went nuts. People were loving that crap. So I think Mattel was taking, and when there's a Sodor that took a lot. The map was the Railway series map. There was a lot of references. The book, I guess something. A lot of people won. A lot of people loved that, and I guess Mattel realized that hey, we can make off of that. Like Thomas's design, it's very Railway series coded. There's the big number, the silver linkages, like the linkage like silver thing. How it's not blue anymore. That makes a lot of sense. He's more rugged. There's more dirt around him, so that makes sense. And also, I don't think this is a case of like they're gonna make like the characters Railway series. We're not gonna get Blue Donald Douglas. I'm sorry, we're not gonna Railway series characters unless by some miracle we get the Percy Pug and Ginty story made in that series. I doubt that. I highly doubt that, but it was so awesome. I will pray for that, but unfortunately, what happened. But, I think what's gonna happen is how, in CGI, when they get flashbacks, they try to be as Railway series accurate as possible. Like in, that was the Percy, I forgot the name, I know. It was like, I think Letters to Santa, I think. When, it was the one with Percy and Harold. When they did the flashback for like when Percy and Harold's first appearance, they try to be as accurate as possible. With the locations, the how they're made up, how they're set it. Be as accurate as possible. So I think that's what they're gonna try to do. Like if they have flashbacks, like let's say they flashback to Thomas and Gordon, they'll try to be as accurate to the illustrations. The same locations, the same angles in the camera, even the same expressions. That type of thing, same characters and all. That's my theory. So again, I think that's what's going to be meant by Railway series coded. Number 6 will be engines will indeed have drivers again, as the merch suggests. Again, also kind of believable. There's more emphasis on people. The Bell Station has a gimmick where you push down, bunch of people there. The Timmy said, bunch of workers there. All in his go, people were just stripped. Even the Blubba, like 20 I want to say 2016 to 2019. Well, the 2020, it was just nothing. There was no human. I mean, there was some, but it was just non-existent. I don't remember any sets having them. I mean, they'll have stickers, but still, it was very bare. So I think this is also a case of them trying to reform because everyone was like, "Oh no, they're moving on to cells. Where's the people at? Is this like cars? So again, I think this is also another course correct. 7 is where I think this is kind of gets a bit muddy, where the information it goes from like grain of salt to significantly turning to a more of a bowl size amount of salt. So 7, here's directly. As I said earlier in the chat, every episode will have live action segments. These will be similar to the ones we had on DVDs with Mr. Perkins and Shining Time Station. This is not at the level of a bowl salt, but not at the level of a grain of salt. This is more like a handful, if that makes sense. If you don't want to talk about, because like this could mean great things, because live action elements could help, I guess, build up, like how Mr. Rogers or Sesame Street, and again, Shining Time Station and Mr. Perkins, how they were, when they had live action segments, it was very good. It was very calm. I won't say calm, but it was definitely a good way to be. I don't know what the greatest way I could put this. I think it was a good way to relate to the kid audience back to them. Because, they could see all the characters and say, oh yeah, Tom's so great, and help them teach other lessons that, that was teaching the episodes. So, like, let's say there's an episode where Henry is being a douchebag, like in, like a similar way in, like, the sad story Henry, and then he gets shut up. And then, let's say we go to the live actions, and they show they basically say, hey, they show let's say they have their own version of Mr. Perkins. We're going to call him Mr. Audrey. Heck yeah. Mr. Audrey is basically like, oh yeah, kids, that's the badness of being selfish and being a prick. Stuff like that. And also do funny bits, show off different stuff. They could make that cake. Remember that cake from Mr. Perkins? And that was ball, man. I would have killed for that. But besides that, I think the reason why I say it's a bowl is because, again, I feel like this is kind of like a hope thing, if that makes sense. Like, oh yeah, we can have sanitization back. Oh, Mr. Perkins, that type of thing, if that makes sense, But also at the same time, I could kind of see it because, again, it will help reinvest that people are also important in Thomas now. It's not all in this go. It's not like hit era. They're actually human beings with minds. They're not just hands anymore or just non-existent. They're not background fodder. But I feel like this is where, where a little bit of salt is a bit added there, but not too much. I can honestly still believe this, I kind of hope that, 8 is where it goes from like a substantial, like, I guess, like handful to a bowl. Just a bowl of salt. Because what happens here is a bit kind of muddy. So basically, number 8 is, I'm going to say word for word. The Vickerstown Bridge has been replaced with the Vickerstown Tunnel, which will be an underground tunnel to the mainland. And presumably because of the last thing I have to share. Number 9, we will elaborate. But this is weird. Because Vickerstown Bridge is now a tunnel. And it's underground. So, underground earnings. So, I guess Thomas explained how international engines went from freaking Moscow to friggin' underground early place Britain. So 20 years late, but who cares? That's a lot of thing. This is weird because why a tunnel? A bridge would be more sense because a tunnel, because like would it go underground and then be on the water type thing? Would it be like Misty Island? Would it just be like that island is near the mainland, like super near that it's basically like touching where they could just put a tunnel and it'll be a hill, type of thing, Weird. Then also B, from a marketing and toy standard, this is weird. Because tunnel is weird, It's like, it has a bit of mystique. It's also creepy to most people. And honestly, it can be like if you're by yourself in the night or you're by yourself in the morning, you hear a train, oh, creepy. And also B, doesn't have, I guess, the same toyeticness. Because a bridge there is cooler, it has the same mystique, it has the same aura. You know, it has a bigger aura than it. You know, like because imagine you're going from the mainland to Sorta. You see this giant bridge, just showing that you are going from the boring mainland to the place where trains can talk to you and be your frippin' friend, and just see the massiveness of it. You know, the massive bridge. I feel like that has more aura than a tunnel, if that makes sense. That has more, I guess, more appeal than a tunnel where you can be easily claustrophobic or something could happen. You know, a bridge is not as, I guess more freeing. You know, but I don't know, which is weird. And number nine is where all salt. I guess I shouldn't have said a small salt because this is definitely like this went from like a pinch to a big bowl. I should have said a big bowl because this is, oh boy. So number nine is much like Reverend Audrey once said for the Railway series. In the new show, the engines don't have faces when they're on the mainland and presumably beyond, only when they're on Sodor. I see this is mostly likely why they changed the bridge to a tunnel. Now, I have no idea how to say this besides this basic human thing. I probably had to put something in the description being foul, like, hey, probably don't watch this if your kid's around, but what the fuck? What the fuck? What the fuck does this mean? Not mean, but like, what? Because first of all, that information has been outdated for God knows how long, even before the TV series. Because Audrey, I think this was written during the Duck and the Diesel engine, and I'm pretty sure it's just now outdated by the time of like, because like again, Audrey was like, oh yeah, they don't have faces, but then they make the 8 images, and of course the illustrations are not canon, so for all we know, they don't have faces, but it gets weirder because you know there's so many swords. There's like Escape. There's Thomas and the Great Railway Show. There's so many times in the Railway series mentioned, oh yeah, I can do that. Escape. Escape's the damning one because that was written by Audrey. And that couldn't happen because it would not make sense if they had faces. Would it be like would it be a mental thing? Would it be like the faces have faces but the crews can't see? It's like what? It just makes more sense if they just have faces the whole time. So this is weird. So to have this honestly kind of outdated logic in the new show is weird because why? Is it to emphasize that Shoulder is the awesome super place? Is it supposed to be like the Brit thing where it's like a magical place where it doesn't really exist in the real world, you know, type of thing? You know, I don't get if this is real. Again, this is a 50% soul we're talking about here. And we're gonna assume this is real. If this is real, why? Because honestly, Marco sense, it doesn't make sense. Because first of all, Day Out with Thomas. The reasons why those do so well because you're meeting Thomas in flipping real life. So just imagine that when the new show comes out, you go to Day Out with Thomas, you go up, Thomas is dead. No face, no nothing. Because he's in Pennsylvania or something. Because, you know, new show has him dead on the mainland. Guess he's dead here. So you want to see him talk to you? Screw you. He has to talk through the screen, you stupid chud. That was rude. I don't know why I got so angry with that. This is so weird. Because again, the magic of Dale and Thomas, you just meet them. You can see their faces, you know. So that's just a bad thing. Those Daisy moms were, oh, but still, that's the magic. You know, you get to meet them. Yeah, sure, they look real, but the thing that helps staple together is the faces. Like, yeah, you can have a 9F look just like Murdoch, but it doesn't have a face. It doesn't feel as real. It doesn't feel as raw, you know. It doesn't feel as cool as just having the guy basically be like, hello, I'm real. I have a face. You go like, oh my God, you know. It's like, on a marketing thing, it's weird. Again, this could all just be false. Everything could be false. That one part could be false. But still, if we take this as literally as we want to, which again, we should not, it's still weird. So honestly, I feel like from 7 to 8, no, not 7 to 8, I feel like 8 to 9 are really not real. Again, I'll be shocked they are. 7 is, it would not shock me if they're not real, but also it wouldn't shock me if they're not. If they're, you know, are real. 1 through 5, 1 through 6 will be the ones that are, oh yeah, very plausible, and honestly would be kind of weird if they aren't there, you know? But again, like I said, this could all just be super false. Be genuine as possible. Again, we don't know if this could be right. For all we know, Kyle, for all we know, the guy could be getting the source from just a guy just being like, oh yeah, it's all true. I made it up, but it's all true. Believe me. Again, we don't know. We don't know. Internet is the internet is the hub for flipping misinformation. Again, we don't know. And the last thing you put there should put in apologies to my source if I meant to keep this all secret, but take everything here with a grain of salt. If I'm told anything else, I won't be sharing it. But again, so what I'm saying here is that everything here could be false. Everything here could be right. Some things could be right, some things could be wrong. Some things you believe are wrong could be right. Some things you could believe that are right are wrong. Sometimes it could all just be freaking nothing. We don't know. So what I'm asking here is this. Take all this here with a grain of salt. Again, all this here could just not be real. I implore you to do your own opinions. You'll be like, okay, let's do a bit of thinking, do a little bit of research, that type of thing. And yeah, I'll have a link down in the description. And what I'm saying here is this. Just please do your own research. Don't believe everything. Don't be like, oh yeah, this has to be true. Or be like, oh, this has to be done. No. I guess do your own research. Do your own thinking. Do your own, I guess, detective work on how this will work realistically. Don't think as a fan. Unfortunately, you have to think like a marketer or like a businessman, in order, because, you're not the guys, because, that's how they would realistically run it. You can't run it like a fan. Because unfortunately, that could either lead to it failing because, too much for the fans, or B, it fails because the fans are doing dumb fan things. So yeah, just take it all with a grain of salt. Again, I don't think this video will go viral. I don't think a lot of people are going to see it. I think I'm with the last guy. Probably not going to be the first guy to upload it. That's okay. I just wanted to talk about this. Is very strange. I would hope that the people that do that stuff, the bigger people, see this and be like, oh, that's cool. I might show it to them. So if I show it to them, I hope you guys like it, So yeah, that's just been my thoughts on this, I guess, leaked info and quotations. So yeah. Take everything with a grain of salt, basically. That's the lesson here. So yeah, see ya. See ya, everyone.